Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. Coming back after another Notre Dame win. Notre Dame's now 2-0 on the season, 4-0 if you include exhibitions, which nobody does. But those were good showings, too. Today, maybe not the prettiest game that Notre Dame's ever won, but as of now, they're up double digits. I wanted to start this now because High Point was fouling and pressing Notre Dame, trying to make some things happen, and this game's pretty clearly over. So figured I'd hop into the post-game show as we go on, but wanted to start with just an overall blanket statement of the game. Thought Notre Dame wasn't very good in the first half, really on either end. Gave up 33 points to a mid-major who does have some athletes, and we'll get into that a little later, but they should not have been trailing to a mid-major at halftime, even though High Point did look pretty good. They still lost by, 35 to Northwestern. So this shouldn't have been a game that Notre Dame was in the first half. Pretty brutal first half. I think they were 3 for 20 from three. Didn't look like they were playing much defense at all. For some reason, to start the game, Mike Brey or whoever was deciding that, maybe it was Hub who decided that, but Brey decided that Prentice Hub should be guarding John Michael Wright. Far and away the best player on High Point and one of the better players on the court tonight. So look at his stats. Last time I checked, he had 17. What does he have now? Has 17. So, yeah, that was an interesting decision. I think 10 of his first 10 points were on Prentice Hub, and he was 4 for 4 to start the game. So definitely not a great side for Prentice Hub and his defensive ability. And Hub just brutal the whole first half, essentially. Had 7 points, I think, at halftime, but didn't seem that way. Efficiency was just brutal for him today. Before garbage time, which is when I'm filming this, there's 53 seconds left. I'd like to get him out a little earlier. He was 3 for 14 and 1 for 8 from three. The first game was in the slump and did a nice job not forcing it tonight. He was open for a lot of those looks, but that's a lot of looks when you're in a slump. Finished with 8 points, so 1 point after the half, not including maybe some free throws that he hits here down the line. But Notre Dame had a brutal first half. Cormac Ryan couldn't get anything going. Dane was doing a little bit of offensive work, finishing double figures, but he was 3 for 8, 1 for 6 from three. The defense didn't look good for him either. Going into the only really good defensive performance today, Cormac Ryan. I mentioned Hub being on John Michael Wright. I tweeted probably the first minute of the game that I would much rather Cormac be on him. A couple minutes later, he was on him, and John Michael Wright scored 7 points the rest of the game on Cormac, and those were not easy looks that he took. So I thought Cormac Ryan did a really nice job on John Michael Wright tonight. Didn't shoot the ball well at all. Didn't really play offense well at all. Had one nice drive to the rim, and it scored on it, but other than that, didn't really have anything going for him. Hit 1 3, 1 for 6. Just horrible efficiency from Notre Dame's top guys. Hub was 3 for 14. Dane was 3 for 8. Nate was 4 for 11. Cormac was 2 for 9. Wurtz was 3 for 8. That's the core that Notre Dame is bringing back is not performing thus far this season. But like I've mentioned a good amount, it's November. Notre Dame did this last year. They scored 93 points against Duke in a win, 90 points against Boston College in a loss, and I'm sure there's other games that aren't at the top of my head right now. Florida State, they put up something like 88 points or something like that against a pretty good defensive team. So I'm not worried about their offense much. I just like to see what their defense did in the second half. Came out and played really hard, got some stops, even from guys that aren't great defenders like Dane and Nate. Did a really good job keeping their feet in front of guys, moving their feet, making plays on the defensive end. So love to see that. That was probably their best defensive half of the year so far. I would say Nazareth probably passed that up, but we're not really taking that Nazareth game seriously anymore. You guys did like that post-game show, though, based on the views. But moving on, we talked about Nate a little bit, moving his feet and stuff. I wanted to go more deeper into his performance. Actually had a double-double tonight. It's the first time he's ever done that. 4 for 11 with 10 points. If you told me Nate had 16 rebounds and 10 points tonight, more rebounds by 6 than points. I would not have believed you. Also had 3 blocks, 2 steals, and only 1 turnover. Was taking care of the ball, just making plays. 4 offensive rebounds. Really love what I saw from Nate tonight. Doesn't seem like he's really in the flow of things offensively yet. It's tough with Paul Atkinson and then all those guards, but I think Nate's good enough to where he's going to start knocking down shots consistently again. And Notre Dame's going to be in a good spot when that's the case. Game just went final, 70-61. Notre Dame win, only won by 9, but they were winning by more before garbage time, and Blake got the ball stolen from him late. Also wanted to touch on Paul Atkinson. Thought he was the big standout for Notre Dame tonight. 19 points, somewhat quietly on 7 of 11 shooting. Got 5 offensive boards, 6 defensive boards, and then 11 rebounds in total. So 2 guys had a double-double for Notre Dame. I don't think that's happened since I've covered the team. Granted, it is against High Point, a team that's not a super high-level basketball team. They do have some athletes, though, and they had a little more size than I expected them to. Didn't do a pregame show on them, so I'm a little more out of the loop on them than past opponents. Had some things come up, but I would not. If you told me tonight that Nate and Paul had both double-doubles and they had 29 points combined, I would have been ecstatic. They had, 27 rebounds and 29 points between the 2 of them, so love to see that, and then 5 blocks between the 2. So really nice performance from Notre Dame's bigs, especially Atkinson. I don't know that Nate had a great offensive performance. Wasn't great defensively, but he was a lot better than what I'd seen from him in the past. I think he's just got to start knocking down shots, which is the case with a lot of these guys. It's kind of hard to analyze them. I don't think that this offense is sustainable. Dropped 70 points, but not very good from 3. 6 of 31 from 3 for Notre Dame, 19%. That's not going to happen very much this season to me. I mean, this is a team that was one of the best teams in Ken Pom offensively last year, offensive efficiency. Shot the ball really well from 3 overall. And, yeah, I don't think this is going to be a common theme or anything. But Trey Wurtz, wanted to touch on him. Didn't think he was very good today. Only had 1 turnover, but I just didn't think his decision-making was that good. Had 7 points. All of that was in the first half. Wurtz, I think they're going to need a little more from. But the good thing about this team is they have scoring in waves. So, like tonight, Paul Atkinson carried the load. Tomorrow, or the first game of Maui, Prentice could carry the load, or Cormac could do it, or even Blake could do it like he did in the first game. Just think there's a lot of options that this team has, and they can really take advantage of those down the stretch. And hopefully Prentice gets going. I've noticed that a lot of negative things were being said about Prentice in the first half, and I think we need to figure out that it's kind of who Prentice is. Like, he's not going to be 20-point per game scorer every night or a 10-per game scorer every night. He's not going to be a great decision maker every night. But when it matters, Prentice Hub comes around most of the time. Defensively, he wasn't great tonight. Didn't really have a good game at all tonight. But if Prentice Hub can come around in the FSU games, the Duke games, the ACC tournament games like he has in the past, I'm fine with having the games like this. I mean, we talk about all offseason, we're going to have these games with Prentice Hub where we just got to take the lumps, and then we'll benefit from having him when there's big games. And this was one of the lumps. I don't think we should be out here crucifying Prentice Hub for this game. They won. Prentice knows he's got to be better. He will be better, at least hopefully. And hopefully that's in Maui or in Vegas in a few days. Last guy who played, who I want to touch on, is Blake Wesley. He only had 4 points tonight, 1 for 4 from the field, didn't hit a 3. But this was the first time I got to see him play a full game. I didn't think he got enough minutes tonight. I thought some of Dane Goodwin's minutes and Trey Wurtz's minutes should have been allotted to Blake, even Cormac, even though Cormac was doing a really nice job defensively. I guess Hub too. I mean, all their guards I think played a little too much, but not enough for Blake. But I just wanted to note some things I saw about Blake. He came off the bench and immediately attacked the rim, got a nice floater. Would have had another Nice take if he didn't get the charge, which he probably should have dished it to Trey in the corner there, but he's a freshman. What can you do? But the main thing I noticed from Blake was just a whole new energy was on the floor when Blake came in the game. Just completely changed the outlook of the game when he came in. Jumper looked a little more fluid to me than it did last year, a little quicker. Still, I don't think he's going to be like a knockdown three-point shooter. I think he's going to be a serviceable shooter who does everything else really well. But wish he would have been involved a little more in the second half. I think him and Cormac playing good defense was really big for Notre Dame down the stretch. Hopefully that can inspire some of their teammates to do the same, especially in the first half, which was not pretty at all on that end. Definitely got a little bit better towards the end, but I think High Point more so just had shot makers. Like early on, I don't think the defense was that bad. I think it was just that High Point had some shot makers, and if Notre Dame gave them an inch of space, then they were hitting them. They're going to have to stay in front of guys more and not give up as many easy shots as they did down the stretch in the first half. But I'm not really worried about Notre Dame after this game. Obviously, it wasn't their best showing, but I still think the same way about this team that I did. I think we've seen the flashes of it. It's only November, and the offense is absolutely going to come around. So I'm not super worried about Notre Dame. They didn't cover this game. I didn't think they would cover this game. So maybe I had lower expectations going into it than most people, but I'm not too worried about this game overall. Wanted to touch on Elijah Taylor also. He had the flu, didn't play tonight. That's kind of why you saw a 7-man rotation. Guy just can't really catch a break, to be honest. Hopefully we can see him play a little bit in Vegas next week. I think having depth in a back-to-back-to-back-to-back day tournament like that is going to be huge. But we'll do a show probably this weekend about Vegas and what to expect from Notre Dame there and what to expect from their opponents. So, yeah, I mean, this game was kind of rough. A little concerned about Nate offensively, a little concerned about all of them offensively, but I think overall they're going to be a lot better down the stretch offensively. It's November. They did this last year. But, yeah, their newcomers looked fine. Atkinson looked pretty good. And I think everything else will eventually fall into place. Just loved how they came out in the second half, and hopefully that's what we see more consistently. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't for more Notre Dame men's basketball content. Trevor and I want this to be the place to come post-game to get some analysis and to kind of make sense out of some Notre Dame games that, like tonight, which were kind of a mess. So thank you guys for watching. Go Irish. Be sure to subscribe and be sure to tune into our Maui preview show in a few days. So thank you guys for watching. Go Irish. Peace.